Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Game Day Show. This is your source for college football entertainment. I'm Ethan Bass, your host, and this is episode 31. We got a jam-packed episode today. The SEC's back. We're going to be talking about last week's games, Miami, Florida State, what's going on with UCF and Miami, and then we're going to talk about the SEC opener next week. So let's get rolling, baby. All right, now I first want to talk about UCF and what's going on with them. Now, UCF blew out Georgia Tech last weekend, beating them 49-21. Now, there's a lot of hype going to UCF. Everyone's saying, UCF a little poor season. I'm pretty sure they lost 2 games. But UCF, everyone's saying, oh my God, UCF's back, they can beat anyone. And Dylan Gabriel even said, the quarterback for UCF said that they're the best team in Florida. I do not agree with that. But Dylan Gabriel had a pretty good performance. He had 417 yards and 4 touchdowns, but only 1 interception was good. Jeff Sims on the other side had 244 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. But the thing I want to get to UCF fans, and we're going to talk about this with Miami later too, is you play Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's a low-end ACC team. Now, I said last podcast that when they beat Florida State, and they're getting the rise in the ACC, but they're still not at that level. Georgia Tech is not as good. Jeff Sims was originally committed to Florida State. Then he went to Georgia Tech things. But Georgia Tech is building a program there with Jeff Collins and stuff. So it's gonna look good for the future. But for UCF, this is it's low end ACC team. That doesn't mean that you can beat let's say, Florida, which you're saying you're the best team in Florida, but Florida's ranked number 5 in the country, and they've proven to beat teams last year like Auburn and Virginia. Well, Virginia's the mid-ACC teams, but they competed with LSU, Georgia, and other teams in the SEC, which if UCF was in the SEC, and they would be in this season, they would be 5-5 or something around there. But UCF, all their fans need to stop getting on the hype. You guys play no one. You guys get in a Power 5 conference and we'll talk. All right, going off of that UCF hate talk, well, not really hate, just giving my opinion on this. Miami and Florida State's coming up this weekend. This is the big, I would say, ACC matchup. I want to talk about Miami first of all, since who else? I mean, they're in the same position as UCF. All their fans are saying they are back. Miami's back, but Miami beat Louisville, who shouldn't be ranked at all. These two teams should not be ranked. But De'Aaron King, everyone's getting so much hype about him. 325 yards, 3 touchdowns last weekend against Louisville. But Louisville's defense is not that good. If they want on a big better defense like LSU, Alabama, or any of these SEC or Big Ten teams, I want to see what De'Aaron King can do, since this is a lower end Louisville defensive team. Now, don't get me wrong, De'Aaron King did look very good for a second start. Also, the running back had 9 carries, 134 yards, and touchdown for Miami. But I want to see what they can do on an elite defense. Now, Florida State has an all-right defense. They have Marvin Wilson there. Apparently one of the best defensive tackles in the country, but he couldn't tackle last time. Basically, this is a battle of who's better right now, because they're both in a pretty bad position. Miami's getting all this hype since they beat 2 pretty crappy teams. And then Florida State lost to a horrendous Georgia Tech, who we just talked about before this. But who's going to win this? I'm going to make my prediction at the end of the podcast when we do all of our predictions. But this is a huge game to see who's better in the state of Florida and who can come behind UCF or Florida, since Florida's number 1. And then we'll see how these two teams play, who defers UCF and Miami or Florida State. If Miami can beat this Florida State team, then they will get more respect until they play Clemson or Notre Dame, which I don't believe they do in regular season. But if they play them in the ACC championship and get blown out, then they obviously can't play anyone, since the SEC doesn't have any high-powered teams right now. I mean, North Carolina, we'll see them against North Carolina, but there's a lot of hype going into them too. But I want to see Miami play a real team, or a better non-con ACC, SEC, Big Ten team. Not obviously that can't happen because of COVID, but I want to see them play a real team next season and see what all this hype is about. I know De'Aaron King's good. I'm not saying he's not good. Watch out for Heisman, but I want to see him go against a real defense. All right, so next topic I want to talk about is the SEC. Now the SEC is starting up this weekend. I'm super glad. I'm a huge SEC fan. We got some big games. We got Florida, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Auburn, Miss State, LSU, to name some. Arkansas, Georgia. We'll see how Georgia plays with the new quarterback. I don't know if I don't think JT is eligible for Georgia, so we'll see how that goes. But this is a huge weekend for the SEC. They kick off the SEC football. I'm obviously most excited for Florida Ole Miss since that's my team. But I want to see how LSU plays, since LSU and they basically have no returning starters besides Grant Delpit on the defense. I want to see how quarterback plays. I just want to see how everything plays in the scheme of Ed Orgeron's LSU's team. I also want to see Georgia. I mentioned that before. I want to see how Georgia performs with no JT Daniels. And we'll see what Kirby can do. But Georgia's defense is going to be really good this year, so I like to see that as well. I also want to see Alabama. Like, what's going to happen with Mac Jones? I want to see how Mac Jones performs this weekend. Same as Kellen Mond playing Vanderbilt and A&M. Like, these are some big games. And and Tennessee, I want to see what the hype is all about with Tennessee. Are they still getting the hype after a big bowl game? And they started the season 0-2 last season, losing to Georgia State, I believe, and Georgia State and BYU last season. But this is a big weekend for college football. SEC's back. We all know that the SEC is an absolute powerhouse in college football. They basically control, I believe the SEC has like most of the winners of the college football playoff besides Ohio State and Clemson. It's been in the SEC. Same with the BCS. Like in the 2000s, it was ruled by the SEC. Like from 06 till Ohio State or Florida State won it. In 2013, it was ruled by the SEC. So that'll be excited to see what the SEC can do. It should be a pretty fun one. I'm excited for Florida Ole Miss, see Kyle Trask, what he can do with a couple of the Trevon Grimes wide receivers and stuff. But there's also other big games like Pittsburgh, Louisville is a big game. I'm excited to see that. Excited to see what Louisville does after the loss against Miami. Obviously, Miami, Florida State. That's going to be a fun one, seeing the battle of Florida, or the two Florida crapshoots, as I like to call it. But yeah, it should be an exciting weekend for all college football. The SEC's back. I'm super excited. All right, let's get to some game picks. Now, let's first start with Kansas State, Oklahoma in the Big 12. I have Oklahoma in this, but it's going to be way closer than you think. I think Kansas State's really pissed that they lost a couple weeks ago. This is on Fox and 12. It's the big noon kickoff. I'm super excited to see Spencer Rattler, what he can do again after that huge win last week. It should be a fun one. Florida, Ole Miss. I have Florida by like 30. Or not 30. I have Florida by 2 touchdowns. I think Ole Miss will put a fight in the first half, but then Florida's just going to take over. They have way more experience. We don't need to get into that. UCF, East Carolina. I have UCF in that one. That's pretty obvious. Georgia, Southern Louisiana. Louisiana's kind of on a hot streak, beating 2 teams. I think Louisiana, again, going 3-0. It should be a great week for them. Louisville and Pittsburgh. This is a very tough one. I have Pittsburgh still going on their hot streak. Louisville's 1-1. Pittsburgh's 2-0. I have Pittsburgh going 3-0. Notre Dame, Wake Forest is postponed, sadly. If it was going to happen, I would have picked Notre Dame by 3 touchdowns. All right, Miss State, LSU. Now, I'm very excited to see what LSU can do this season. Very excited how Ed Orgeron can make the offense and defense, even though Grant Delpit's coming back for LSU. I'm just excited to see what LSU can do. I have LSU. Texas Tech, Texas in a landslide. Army, Cincinnati, and this one's a very underrated game. 2 ranked teams. I have Army in this one. I have Army going 3-1. I have Cincinnati losing their first loss this season. I saw what Army did last week. I thought they played pretty good last week. Cincinnati has 66% chance of winning, but I just see Dylan Rattler for Cincinnati not having a pretty good game there. All right, West Virginia, Oklahoma State. I have Oklahoma State this one. Georgia, Arkansas. I'm very excited to see what both teams can do since they both have new quarterbacks. Georgia has their new offensive coordinator, but Arkansas has Felipe Franks. Excited to see what he can do in the new system after coming off Mullen's system and getting that hurt. I'm very excited for this one to watch Felipe. This on SEC Network. At 4, I got Georgia in this one. Alabama, Missouri, another test for Alabama. We got Mac Jones in this one. Excited to see what he can put to the table. We saw a little bit in last year when Tua got hurt. Excited to see what he can do. Vanderbilt, A&M. I see Kellen Mond and Jimbo Fisher coming out this one, beating this Missouri team that didn't look that good last year. Florida State, Miami. I have Miami in this one. I see them destroying Florida State. Florida State's just a complete hot mess right now. Their O-line's terrible, and De'Aaron King's looking pretty good there. Tennessee, South Carolina. I have South Carolina getting the upset here. There's lots of hype going into Tennessee, but I see South Carolina and Will Muschamp getting a huge win for the first game of the season. I don't see Garantano getting a good start there. NC State, Virginia Tech. I beat Tech there. Their first game of the season since a lot of them got postponed. Troy, BYU. I have BYU in this one. I think BYU looked very good last weekend, and I see them putting up the fight again. Arctic Game of the Week presented by your North Red Eagles of Kentucky at Auburn. I see Auburn winning in this one. It's going to be pretty close, though. I'm excited to see what Mark Stoops can do again at Kentucky. But I see Auburn and that Bo Nix freshman offense. He's now sophomore, so I'm excited to see how Bo Nix can improve with that offense. And their defense lost a couple stars like Derek Brown. But I'm excited to see what Auburn can do this season. All right, thank you guys for joining us on this episode of the College Game Day podcast. This is the Game Day Show. I'm Ethan Bass. We'll see y'all later.